Thomas C. Drexler have returned. Some may tell you I was outside Linda's house begging for her to take me back, but that is a lie. I have been on a secret mission for GTN. But what was my mission, I hear you ask? To expose places and planets Starfleet and the Federation don't think you should know about, let alone visit. The smell was mighty powerful when I opened up the shuttle doors upon my return, but that's the scent of solid journalism. Let's take a look at what I discovered during my trip to far-flung nooks and crannies of the galaxy, corners of the cosmos you will never see. I am Thomas C. Drexler for GTN with a special report, 10 worlds you will never visit. Number 10. Pakled Planet. You might not have wanted to visit Pakled Planet in the first place unless you liked rotten mush fruit and being constantly mistaken for Captain Janeway. You'll have to make it go somewhere else, because 20 years ago the Pakled deliberately blew up their homeworld by planting a Verivian bomb in the capital, big strong Setti. The pea-brained Pakled, one of whom once mistook an airlock for a toilet and flushed himself out into space, also managed to frame Starfleet Captain Carol Freeman for the bombing. One energetic, colourfully haired officer who would like to remain anonymous told me that Freeman was perp-walked before her crew upon her arrest. Those dopes at the FNN even broadcast the clearly faked footage that showed Freeman placing the bomb. Documents from the Freeman's trial indicated that the doctored images were the work of notorious forger working for the Pakleds. Why destroy their own homeworld? To get the Federation to move them to a more resource-rich planet. Freeman was cleared of all charges, but not before 3 ensigns stole a replica of the Phoenix, followed by the impounded USS Cerritos to come to her rescue. Number 9. Paragan II. What really happened during the NX-01's mission? Was it really all endless exploration, countless first contacts, and saving Earth from destruction? Was there something more sinister cloaked beneath the surface on the long warp to the Federation? Paragan II is now unfortunately misnamed. 249 years after the encounter with Enterprise's shuttle pod that killed all 3,600 colonists, the planet is not home to a single Paragan nor much else for that matter. When I arrived in orbit, I could almost smell the burning. Ships logs state that Enterprise's mission was cancelled after the Paragan incident. Captain Archer then acquired advanced quantum engineering skills in his sleep to prove that Paragan was those darn Sulabans all along. Archer himself noted he got this information in the past from a man called Daniels, no other name was found, a former crewman on Enterprise who was really a temporal agent from the 31st century, involved in a temporal Cold War. GTN contacted the Department of Temporal Investigations here in the 25th century for comment, but all they said was they'd get back to us yesterday. Number 8. The weird planet where time moved very fast and so did the people who lived there. Dangerously young Captain's assistant Naomi Wildman spent her formative years bringing apples and hot coffee to Catherine Janeway in the Delta Quadrant. When I caught up with Commander Wildman, now executive officer in Deep Space K7, she refused to answer any questions about her school report she wrote for astronomy class aboard Voyager. For the weird planet displaced in time, all we had was Wildman's suspiciously retitled essay and the leaked data from one of the Sky ships, conveniently disintegrated Class 5 probes. Also known as Killimane's planet, the world won't show up on any multiple-choice exam at Starfleet Academy. Its tachyon core creates a temporal differential, so a mere 1.03 seconds in normal space is an entire day on the planet. You'll have to bid farewell to your life outside if you want to go down there. Number 7. Rura Penthe. You hope. What's worse than Klingon food, Klingon sleeping quarters, and Klingon opera, all 3 on a Klingon prison planet? So you don't have to, I went full-on method. Got myself arrested, tried and sentenced to life on the icy hellhole of Rura Penthe for crimes against the Klingon Empire. My experiences largely confirmed what we suspected. Wildly known as the Aliens Graveyard, hours of backbreaking work in the dilithium mines await inmates of Rura Penthe. The slightest complaint or misstep will see you with a one-way ticket to the frozen surface. Most people don't survive the year, as Captain Archer nearly found out in 2152. It's common knowledge that Captain Kirk and Dr. McCoy were falsely imprisoned on Rura Penthe for the assassination of Chancellor Gorkin in 2293, before being rescued by the Enterprise. As we learned from the Presidio papers, Starfleet had plotted to bail out the 2 jailbirds using military force with a shaky paper plan called Operation Retrieve. Starfleet was also up to its turtlenecks in the Kittimer conspiracy, but more on that later. Number 6. The Laru Sector. One file in the Presidio papers was heavily redacted. We were left with the last letter of the ancient Earth language Greek, a mention of the Laru Sector, and our inexhaustible desire to get to the bottom of secret Starfleet directives. Here's the Laru party line. You can't create a stable warp field there, but that's a natural phenomenon. I had to plod through on thrusters and avoid the subspace ruptures to obtain distant, never-before-seen scans of a half-destroyed 23rd century Federation research center, still glowing an eerie blue. Was Starfleet developing a new power source at Laru? A weapon? A former Starfleet background button pusher told GTN that on stardate 51781.2, the Greek character appeared on every Voyager bridge console until Janeway switched it off. Our anonymous source then had to build a strange chamber in Cargo Bay 2 for 7 of 9. I was sent to question every XB I could find. Omega is the Borg's holy grail. A drop of blood that could burn the skies is all they would say. Number 5. Setti Alpha 4, 5 and 6. Captain Kirk once left history's maddest madman Khan Noonien Singh behind on Setti Alpha 5 and never went back to check up on him. When Setti Alpha 6 blew up, the previously M-class-ish Setti Alpha 5 shifted in its orbit and became more inhospitable than your Vulcan in-laws. In 2285, Khan and co. made their escape by commandeering the USS Reliant after 2 seemingly incompetent yet highly experienced Starfleet officers beamed down to Setti Alpha 5 believing it was 6. Technically speaking, you can still go to Setti Alpha 5. I went myself and definitely didn't encounter a strange eel-like creature that definitely didn't go into my ear. The rest of this sorry star system isn't much better. In the 2380s, GTN interviewed Malvus, a Miserian merchant on Starbase 25. Malvus opened up about the time he was stranded by Starfleet officer Beckett Mariner on Setti Alpha 4, which was much worse than Setti Alpha 5. Number 4. An entire universe. Beverly Crusher's static warp bubble. As indicated in the Starfleet records, I attempted to create a static warp bubble inside my shuttle at the exact point in space where Wesley Crusher tried his experiment in 2367. It failed. All that time and effort spent infiltrating Starbase 133 for nothing. What I tried on my own, for the benefit of GTN's dedicated readers and viewers, wasn't the best idea to test out on the flagship with over 1,000 people aboard. We are still learning the full extent of Wesley's research catastrophe on the Enterprise D. Another report revealed he once accidentally let loose a group of nanites, causing havoc and creating a new civilization. With a bit of Deus Ex Traveler, Wesley managed to free his mum from the warp bubble he had stranded her in prior to its complete collapse. Before her escape, Dr. Crusher had to witness friends and colleagues disappear one by one and was subject to an extreme form of gaslighting by those who remained. Number 3. Praxis. Starfleet and the Federation have 2 modes of operation. Either they are there because something in the galaxy blows up, or something in the galaxy blows up because they are there. The former is true for Praxis, once a moon for the Klingon homeworld. The explosion's subspace shockwave was so powerful that several crew members aboard the USS Excelsior developed tinnitus from Captain Sulu's cries to raise shields. Recordings of a classified Starfleet briefing show that the Praxis event created an environmental disaster on Kronos, diverting Klingon resources away from war. Elements on both sides were none too pleased with the prospect of peace. So the likes of Admiral Cartwright, Colonel West and General Chang cooked up a conspiracy to assassinate Chancellor Gorkin and stop the Khitomer Conference. Ancient history. No one ever had trouble with Klingons or Starfleet renegades ever again. Over 100 years later, I, Thomas C., son of Drexler, volunteered to have a closer look. I confirmed that only fragments of Praxis remained in orbit of Kronos, practically one half of the moon having been obliterated. The official story is that the explosion was caused by dishonorable mining practices. Number 2. Talos IV. Deep within the Presidio papers, what GTN discovered about Starfleet's General Order 7 will shock you. In force during Kirk's captaincy of the Enterprise, it is unclear whether this barbaric commandment remains on the books in 2401. We do know not-so-lucky Number 7 forbade any vessel from going to Talos IV for any reason under penalty of death. From another top-secret file, GTN learnt that Captain Christopher Pike and Science Officer Spock visited Talos IV in 2254 and were behind the suggestion that no human should ever visit the planet again. We believe that Starfleet poster girl Una Chin Riley accompanied them, and we later discovered hastily deleted references to a burned ham. The reasons for the hanging ban on Talos IV weren't contained in any Starfleet record, but hypothetically speaking, if I did encounter certain giant-brained aliens, I may have been far too tempted by their mind powers. Did I also meet an unaged Captain Pike? Not a Delta Ray mark on him, nor life support chair in sight? That's for the courts to decide. Everyone has the right to remain beepless. Number 1. Romulus and/or Remus and/or Mars. What would have been a challenge before 2387 was most definitely impossible after. Without time travel, there is a good reason you will never visit Romulus and/or Remus. They don't exist anymore. Starfleet's handling of the situation was as disastrous as the supernova itself. 2 years ago, the fools of the Federation News Network interviewed Jean-Luc Picard on the anniversary of the Romulan catastrophe. GTN would have gotten the whole truth out of the Admiral, but the usually lousy FNN did at least ask about the synth attack on Mars, which cost 92,143 lives, led to a ban on synthetics, and ended the Romulan evacuation efforts. I recently visited Mars to find the sky still burning. You can kiss goodbye to seeing the Carl Sagan Memorial Station, at least not for a while. The Presidio papers paint a sad picture of Starfleet incompetence. The organization failed at every level to stop a band of Romulan extremists led by Commodore O from infiltrating its highest echelons to mastermind the Mars attack. How many other spies are operating with impunity in Starfleet? And the disappearance of Ambassador Spock remains a mystery. And that was 10 worlds you will never visit. Make sure to like and share the video, and subscribe if you haven't already. If you can think of anything that we may have missed, then let us know down in the comments below. And if your name is Linda, I will not be paying the child support. You can find us on Twitter at TrekCulture and on Instagram at TrekCultureYT. You can find an alias of myself on Twitter at Tom C. Finn, and on various other socials as well. Thanks for watching. I'm Thomas C. Drexler for GTN, and I sleep in the back of my car.